Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. Brought to you by Blue Sky Business Consulting. We discuss 5 questions in about 15 minutes. Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. I'm very excited to welcome Natasha Skolny. She is our guest today. She is from the Toronto area of our friends up north in Canada. So Natasha, thank you so much for taking time to join me on the podcast. I'm excited to talk about these questions that we're going to cover. First of all, tell us a little bit about what you're working with. You are the founder of the Leadership Cabin, and I'm anxious to hear a little bit more about what you're working on. So share a little bit with the audience.
Yeah, thanks so much, Shawn, for having me on here. Yeah, I'm the founder of the Leadership Cabin, a practice that I started a couple years ago now that evolved after working over 20 years in corporate, leading a team, also building out leadership programs for high-performing teams as well and leaders. And I was really looking to evolve into having a bigger impact and working with women in HR who could understand really about who they are and what's important to them. Because throughout all of my career, what I really found out or I discovered was the more that we come back to ourselves, the more that we can have more influence and impact because we're feeling like ourselves. And so I really wanted to create something that allowed people to tap into that and work with more people so that they could give their gift of being themselves and their purpose back to the world. So that's what's evolved, and so it's part coaching, but it's also team building workshops, anything that really helps support having deeper conversations and getting to know yourself and connecting with others.
Oh, I love it. You're doing some great work, so keep it up. Congratulations. That's great. All right, well, let's get started with our questions then. Natasha, how can leaders create a psychologically safe environment for their teams?
Okay, first of all, like this is one of my favorite questions is we're always looking at ways to help people open up and feel like they can be themselves. And some of the ways that it sounds rudimentary, but not trying to be anyone else. Be yourself, be authentic, but also know that you don't have to try and perform. And one of my biggest lessons over the years is we're all trying to be someone else because we're trying to move up or grow, and we think that we ourselves are not enough. But what breaks down all of the barriers is if we can just show up and be ourselves with our good and our bad and just be vulnerable with other people by not being afraid to show who you are. And so the first part is really like model what that even looks like to your team, to the people around you. Put up your hand when you've made a mistake about something and correct it and, just own it and know what your strengths are. Know the things that you're really good at so that you can lean into more of that as well. My favorite thing is around coaching as the quickest way to build trust with other people because you suddenly have to tap into being present with that other person.
Mm.
And you have to listen to them. And so other people feel like, okay, I'm safe to say something now. I'm safe to be heard and I'm not being judged for it.
Mm.
So really like those two pieces helps create a really good psychological safety environment for people around you to want to open up and to want to contribute and to feel like they can be themselves too.
Oh, I like that. I love it, in fact, because especially that part about listening, because you're right. There's just so much there that we sometimes forget that just the simple act of listening will engender the trust and help them feel empowered to share ideas in that moment as well as down the road. Love that. Absolutely love that. All right. Question number 2. Now, Natasha, I'm sure that in your life, there have been a large number of people that have had an influence in your life. If you were to pick one of those people and just kind of think in your mind, who that might be, what's one word that you would use to describe that person?
Mm, there are so many people. It is a tough question. The one most recently in the last 3 years of my life that has had a huge impact on me is a coach that I worked really closely with and I still work with to this day. And the one word I would use to describe her is real.
Mm.
And can I elaborate on
Please,
it?
please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The the real part is telling me the things that she sees without a filter, without
Mm.
worrying about what my reaction is, but also seeing everything. So not just, hey, have you seen this area that you're not seeing over here, but also look at here what you're doing so well. And it was just being honest and like everything that she does embodies everything that she preaches. And there's no like, oh, she'll tell me to do X, Y, and Z, and then she'll go do something different herself. It's like she's very much in her integrity. What she says is very honest. There's this, yeah, that's how I would describe her, is just showing up as real.
Oh, I like that. It's a word that I don't hear a lot in response to this question, is name something or describe that one word, because it's hard sometimes to put it into exact, all of that we feel about the people that have had such a positive influence. How do you narrow that down to one word? But I like that you were able to come up with real. So well done. And I'm glad that you've got that mentor in your life that can help you with all of those things. So excellent. Okay, question number 3. Share your feelings and your thoughts a little bit about how leaders can foster a growth mindset in either themselves as the leader or in their team.
Mm. Yeah, I love this question because I would say over the last 5 years, I have really turned the mirror or flipped the mirror from like, oh, what's everyone else doing, to back at myself. And one of my biggest lessons has been look at my life as though it's a science project. And whenever I'm triggered by something or something happens that I feel frustrated about, or it seems like an obstacle that I don't know what to do with it, I look at it and I ask myself the questions around, why am I choosing to have this experience? What is important about this that I'm not seeing? And I get really curious about myself. And that has really helped me like move through some of the challenges that I have. And then on the flip side, I do that with other people now too. So anyone that I'm around that is like, oh, I can tell they're feeling really stuck, or I can tell they're going through an emotional reaction and there's something really important there. I don't make it about me. I make it about like, okay, how can we get curious about it? How can I help them get curious about it as well? So if you're looking to create a growth mindset, it's looking at the experiences as lessons, as information, as data, as things that we can use to help us move forward, and just continuing to instill that and reinforce those conversations has this really, really cool momentum and ripple effect with the people around you.
Oh, I like that. There's so many good things that you said in such a concise period of time, but that's awesome. Thank you. All right, question number 4. What ideas do you have, Natasha, on how leaders can manage emotional wellness, which has become a very hot topic in recent years? What are your thoughts?
Hmm. Emotional wellness. Well, I mean, I play in the space of emotional resiliency and emotional intelligence and all of that thing. Like, how do we feel? Because everything that we do comes back to a feeling in some way. And emotional wellness to me is about, the way I phrase it is having emotional responsibility. Like
I like that.
we have a choice on how we react to things and how we process things. But the first step is really knowing what emotions are coming out and why they're coming out. So I would suggest, spending some time, if this is the a very like if this isn't a place that you play in very often, then I would start by tracking the emotions, tracking the reactions, tracking the what's coming up for you in what circumstances, to get really curious about when are these things happening and what's the circumstance or what's the situation that's leading up to it, because that information is going to tell you so much about what's important to you and what your needs are. And when you understand your needs, or the things that you want in that you're not getting through, because if I want to do something and I'm not getting what I want, then I'm going to get frustrated, or I'm going to have some sort of reaction to it. But
Right.
I don't actually know that connection unless I pay attention to it. So I have to go back and go, okay, when are these things happening? What is my reaction to it? Why is that important to me? And how do I want to choose to react in those circumstances going forward? And then on the other side, it would be what is going to re-energize me? What's going to give me that back so that I can feel like I'm in a state where I have I want to say like the battery life to be able to react. Because, when you're exhausted and you're just completely tapped out, you're probably not the best at regulating your emotions. It's just things are gonna set you off more
Yes.
often.
Yes.
So it's about having that balance for yourself on what's draining me, what's bringing me back energy, so that you can choose the reactions that are really more representative of who you are. And so you can communicate in a way where you feel heard.
I really like that, Natasha. And if it's okay, I'm going to add one little piece because I really like what you said. And I want to make sure that the audience, if they need to hit rewind or whatever they need to do to go listen to that, because emotional wellness is such an important part. And you talked about kind of understanding what drains you and then what gives you energy. And what I have discovered in working with people as well as myself, we have to know that ahead of time, and that's why what you're doing and a little bit of what I do is so important when we're trying to help leaders is to that self-awareness, to know about it ahead of time so that when you get into those moments, you know how to self-correct rather easily. And it's not this completely lost feeling. And this is such an important topic. I just wanted to add that little bit. So I hope that's okay to add, but thank you for sharing that. That was really a very important message that we understand that about ourselves, but this whole idea of emotional wellness.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Last question. My favorite one, because it's always a fun way to kind of close up the podcast here. I am excited to hear about your baseball story. And if I remember correctly from our pre-recording discussion, it's going to be about last year's World Series. So let's hear it.
Okay, so I will very transparently tell you I am not a huge baseball fan in general. Like I don't watch the game on a regular basis, but this past season, the Toronto Blue Jays made it into the World Series. And what I noticed was how everyone, it didn't even matter what age you were invested and excited in the process of these games. Like the world around us felt like it just stopped when we were in the World Series. You would go to Toronto and suddenly everyone was talking about it. There was a screen somewhere, there was a crowd around it. We were just all in it. So the part around like the actual game itself, yes, I was into it. I loved watching it, but the experience itself in seeing the excitement, the engagement, the we're all in this together, the feeling of like how we bonded, how we had how we were cheering each other on. It was just so it was like this collective thing that we all needed to see how important it was on what happens when we all band together and we're all focused on the same thing and wanting the same result. And it was just so, so powerful. And even though we didn't end up winning, there were so many lessons around like what that meant for us. And wow, look what happens when we all focus on having a result that we're so passionate about. It was just beautiful.
I love that. I love that because there's several things that are coming to mind. That is one thing I've always appreciated about any kind of a sport is that it tends to bring people together. We've just wrapped up the Olympics a bit ago, and there's the same kind of a feeling that for a little while, those 16 days or 17 days, whatever it is, the whole world kind of focuses in and they're cheering for their athletes and the athletes are representing their countries. And there is this bonding, and it feels like we can kind of put aside all the other little differences that tend to come up, and it gives us an opportunity to kind of relax and have some fun and cheer for the sport or the people in the sport, whatever it is. But I appreciate you sharing that because it brings that human element to sport that I really like, and that's what to me is fun. I don't get to too many live games of any kind of sport, but when I do, it's always fun how there's an immediate camaraderie with the people around you, just as you were describing, even with sometimes it's the opposing team. I mean, I had a very fun experience a year or two ago where I went to a game. I was the visitor. I was rooting for the visiting team. And so I inevitably was going to be sitting next to the home team fans, but we still had fun. We still had fun. Mike, the visitors won. I'm just going to throw that out. I'll take it. I'll take it. Well, Natasha, thank you so much for sharing your experiences, sharing your wisdom and knowledge and your insights. Really appreciated having you on the podcast today. How can people find you?
Yeah, great question. My website is www.theleadershipcabin.com. I am actively on LinkedIn and Instagram under the Leadership Cabin. So happy to connect with anyone there as well.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. And thanks to all of you for joining us. We appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe and check in again so that every week we bring out a new episode for you to learn a little bit more about how you can affect or influence your team for good. Thanks so much for joining us and have a great day. This is Shawn Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. Be sure to follow or subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. And for more leadership tips, pick up your copy of Rapid Fire Leadership by going to rapidfireleadership.com, where you can also download free resources to help you in your leadership role. Thanks for joining us today. Have a great day.